You are playing a defense attorney on today's show for your boy from Thunder Bay, Ontario, Matt Murray. Dude, he was dog shit.
Yeah, he was.
Dog
I
shit
can't.
on
I can't
Saturday.
even. I hope he's not viewing today because I wasn't happy with his game. They're just sloppy, right? He was like, even when he was making saves, he was sliding, he was busy. It just wasn't his best game. And the first goal, I was going to come to his defense, right? I was like, I watched it live and I was like, it looked like one of those plays because it happens all the time where when a guy goes to shoot, his like release is high and the puck comes low. It's kind of what happened. I thought right at the same point when the guy shot, the defender hit his stick, but it wasn't. It was just a bad goal, a misplayed goal. And then the one for me that's an absolute backbreaker was the second goal. Like Chikrin shot that in from the nosebleeds. Like that, you have to have a save there. That's one that just can't go in. We see it here where like he is out at the top of the circles here when he shoots this puck. That's like a routine save all day in the NHL. That just can't go in the net. And I think that's an absolute backbreaker. And then right after that, when it's 2-1, Willie Nylander had a few chances, couldn't find the back of the net. The next two, I don't really blame him on. I think the one on the broken play where it gets backdoor, he's playing that shot. It comes off the wall. There's got to be support there. And then the tip is what it is. But I think he puts himself in that spot because of those first two goals being so bad.
I always take what goalies say with a grain of salt in their post-game remarks, but Murray comes out and calls the fourth goal a dagger. I thought the first two goals were a dagger, and I thought the Leafs were playing catch-up. That building, to your point, was ready to rock. They were buzzing. The Leafs score early. The Washington Capitals are in town. Ovechkin's back. It's the holiday season. And I thought it was so deflating the way those two goals went in. And to your point, again, I'm not going to just jump on Murray for this entire show. Sometimes guys are just not going to have it. And, he's been a nice success story, wins against the Buffalo Sabres a week back. But I thought that really deflated the team, and they were playing catch up for the rest of the night.
No, I agree, and it sets the tone for the whole game, right? I think we've seen this. I think a little PTSD, right? I think you tweeted about that about Samsonov, and that's like a vibe that goes through a team, right? Like right away when your goalie is struggling and you see a shit goal go in, it's like deflating, right? It's different if it's one, right? A broken play, something happens, but then a second one goes in, so they're like, oh, it's going to be one of those nights, right? And guys have been around the game long enough; they're not stupid. They know when their goalie's fighting it. But for Matt, it's one of those games where, you need to make big saves, man. That's what you have to do. And I don't even think the Majapani is one where I think the defenseman could have played it a bit better. He lets him walk right in, but you still need to make saves there. This is the NHL. There's going to be good chances. The Chikrin one's not even a scoring chance, in my opinion. That is a routine save all day, especially in the NHL. So tough from there. And then again, you talk about the PTSD, then all of a sudden now you're trying to force it. Now you're trying to play protective. You get out of your box because your goalie's struggling, and that's how it felt on Saturday night.
Yeah, and tell you what, I think we took Stolarz for granted, what we had in Anthony Stolarz, because everything he's ever since he's left, it's been a mixed bag in general, I think, with the Crease, and it just shows you how strong he was in there, where it's like now you have a guy in Murray who just can't make a save. It's been inconsistent so far for Hildeby as well. And next thing you know, the Crease is a big concern for me moving forward, just because we don't really have a return date on Stolarz, and you always have to be careful when it comes to Joseph Woll.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest, black cloud over the situation is the fact that like Joseph Woll's played very well, but it's like, let's not forget what we have with Joseph Woll. This is a guy that is prone to injury. How much do you use him? How much rest do you give him? And then you start second guessing yourself because now it's like we need to win hockey games, but we can't play our starter too much. And now we can't trust our backup. And that's when things start to get sloppy. And I think they're just going to have to try to ride a guy. Maybe you get Murray back, try to get him going in a sense, but you try to get Joseph Woll in as many games as you can just to kind of stop the bleeding, just so it's not one of these things where by the time Stolarz gets back, they're sitting third or maybe in a wild card spot because of games they've given away with poor goaltending. So it becomes worrisome, I think, for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the fact of the matter is, like, what if Stolarz is more than that 4 to 6 weeks, right? What if he comes back and there is a little bit of a setback, right? That's where I think you start to get a little bit overwhelmed moving into the second half of the season, especially when the game tightens up and you need saves, right? You have to make saves, especially the ones you have to stop. Like we talked about, we always viewed it like we would rate games like goals in the NHL. Every goalie coach I had, it was like ones that were just great goals, right? Maybe you could do something a little bit different, but just like a hat tipper, we would call them. And then those ones where it's like, hey, you could have made a save, but maybe you do something a little bit different, one you might have had. And then there's just like the horrible goals, right? It was always those 3 ratings. And when you're giving up those bad goals consistently, you're not winning hockey games in the NHL. It's just unfathomable to try to win games if your goalies aren't making the saves they have to make.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in general, when you look at the crease, you're almost at a point where you have to force feed Joseph Woll. And that's what concerns me, right? Because I don't know how much faith you have in either Murray or Hildeby. Like, I wasn't shocked. I wake up on Monday and to the news of Matt Murray being reassigned to the AHL. I know there's some cap manipulation baked in there, but Hildeby called up. How would you deploy the crease moving forward this week? So you got the Islanders New Year's Eve, then you have the Islanders on Thursday, then you have Boston on Saturday, and then home to Philadelphia on Sunday. So there is a back-to-back. I assume it's going to be Hildeby on Sunday,
Yeah,
right?
I think you got to go with Hildeby at this point, right? I think if he falters poorly, then you go back to Murray as being the guy when it's a back-to-back. And then I guess you just tread gently with Woll, right? Because I think the worst thing you can do here is overplay your hand with Woll too, and then have him out as well. Then when you're stuck with Hildeby and Murray, that's when you're really worried. Because I feel like this is what got us in this situation. I still didn't love Stolar starting after that Jersey game. I thought in Jersey, he was the best player on the rink. It was a very, very busy night. He's a guy that hasn't played a ton of times as the outright guy, like during a whole week. Because when you're playing 3 games a week, 4 games a week, it is another animal, something that I struggled with and learned to manage as I start to play some games where years I played 50 games, where being a 30-game guy versus a 50-game guy is a huge different physically, mentally, what goes into it. Where now if it's like we start putting Woll in that situation, I don't know. I get a little worried about a tweak or something happening. So I think Hildeby is your guy moving forward right now. Let's see what he does. And then from there, you just figure out, who is your guy when you got a spot starts in there. But even if you bounce between Murray and Hildeby.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Roseau. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.